Hello, everyone. I'm B-Donald Harris,
Major Phillips here.
and welcome to the Notable in Black in Tech podcast.
Today we have a very special guest, a good friend of mine. I've been knowing for, almost 20 years, probably over 20 years. He is doing some things in tech that a lot of people don't even know that's possible. I'm going to let him tell you more about his company, but without further ado, we got our guy, Mr. Benny Smith, on the line.
Thank you, gentlemen, for having me. It's great to be on the show.
Good. So was that Turnout
Turnout Gurus.
Gurus?
Turnout
So
Gurus.
so Benny,
Turnout Gurus.
so just give us a little spiel, a little intro on what Turnout Gurus is all about.
Okay. So I got involved in politics in the early 2000s, and I was always involved in political races because I was in the IT department for a political operative. So he became a mentor to me. He was the city court clerk he did 5 terms there. So he was there for 25 years. And so whenever you get a traffic ticket, there's a traffic ticket system that's logging the tickets and when you go to court. And so I'm this IT guy, but the guy who's running for office every year, in his best interest to have a tech guy
Yeah.
that can help him run for office. So he kind of brought me in and he was like, I was doing traffic tickets and he was like, well, can you analyze election discs? And I was like, yeah, probably it's just data for me. It's rows and columns.
Right.
And so I started looking at the information and tracking, human behavior. And so I was known around town as the numbers guy. And so this political guy is going out and saying, hey, I got a tech guy. He's figuring out. And so he would ask all of this anecdotal questions, and it was the moment that it became repeatable, and I got tired of answering the questions too. So he would ask all of those questions, and I would come up with ways to give him reports and data so that they would know where to canvas and target the turnout. They wanted to figure out what a turnout was.
Yeah.
So I kind of became this guru of knowing where the turnout was. And so then I learned after about 10 years of getting tired of asking all those questions, answering all those questions, I was like, let me figure out a way to automate this. And so that's how Turnout Gurus was born. And I would basically try to see if I could write through scripting, figure out how the movie ends. And so I was trying to publish like forecasts of who
Yeah.
would walk into the booth because that's the main game in town anyway when it comes to elections. And so when I got good at it, I thought it was illegal. When I really got good
Yeah.
at it, I was like, there's no way they're gonna allow me to predict who's gonna walk into the booth.
Uh-huh.
That completely changes how you interact with people. You're technically knocking on the door of a citizen where you have so much information about them. I started making a lot of gains. I started, working with a lot of candidates. I've worked with every candidate for every office in Shelby County. That's going to be all the tenets of power. And so when you think about turnout in elections, a lot of people don't know that governments are the largest employers in many counties, right? And so if you get an elected position, you got appointment authority, you got signing authority, contracts. There's a whole list of economics that goes along with an elected seat and an office. So I was interested for that reason alone, because that's where the real power is. And so if you look at our elections, like think about elections, they cost billions of dollars.
Yeah.
Like I think that the presidential election, I think they spent in upwards of almost $3 billion. I think it was reported that Vice President Harris, she spent $1.2 billion and went over by some in the neighborhood of 20 million
Yeah.
and didn't even crack a dent in the swing states. And if she had spent no money, she probably would have ended up with the same outcome that she has now. And so I studied that for the better part of 20 years now, trying to figure out if I could get this leg up, what would it do for elections? As a citizen, I'd much rather somebody to come to me and talk to me about something I care about because they've targeted me so they can get my opinion. And so that's what Turnout Gurus is. It's basically you everybody needs a guru to tell them where to go, and they're hard to come by. So if you could automate that and create a system. So I created this elaborate dashboard that gives all of that turnout knowledge. If you remember when we was at Hilton, they went 5 years back and they went 5 years of history to forecast 2 years forward. And so I use a lot of that logic that I got from forecasting to try to figure out who's going to walk into the booth. So in short, Turnout Gurus is a forecast model of who will walk into the booth, not how many. And so from knowing
Yeah.
who will walk into the booth, it changes the way you interact with citizens. A lot of people don't realize like polls polls are some really overrated statistical uh outputs that people make a lot of money off of. I did a segment on our local news station, Live at 9, and it was almost like a Mythbusters segment. And I'll send you guys, I should have probably sent y'all guys the files where I broke down the difference between a poll because a lot of people don't understand polls, right? A poll is a phone call that some operative made to ask you what you were thinking at a given point in time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you deal with statistics, right, you gotta have a statistical method, you have to have a statistical sample,
Mhm.
you have to get a pool of individuals, you gotta kinda base that based on, having a good mix of people in a certain age group, a good mix of people
Yep.
in a certain demographic, and so you have most statisticians, they try to get that even, but the communities aren't designed to work like that.
That's
Like, no
true.
community is, like, half white and half black, right? You gotta like, Memphis is 50 plus percent black,
Yep.
and so if you're gonna do 25%, 25%, 25%, or 33, 33, 33 because you have black, white, and other here, you gonna miss the moon by a mile because, you have to have enough population sample for the people that you're calling.
I hope you're enjoying this show. Whenever you get an opportunity, get a chance, check out my website at www.notablebit.com. You'll find some good information there. But whatever platform you're listening on, please feel free to leave a review. You can also communicate with us on Instagram at notablebit. Now back to the show.
One thing that stuck out to me that I'm always telling people, you was like, I'm tired of answering this same question. I'm about to automate
Yes,
this.
man.
Yes,
I'm
come on now. That's the life of a developer
oh,
right there.
man, I tell all people, I said, the best developers lazy.
Yes.
They ain't
Yes.
trying to do
Yeah,
that
we are
every
the
time.
laziest people.
Man, come on now.
I'm not
Yeah,
gonna do that.
I'm not gonna do this over and over
Nah.
again. Now we're gonna automate this. We're gonna figure out. I'm gonna write a script or something.
Something. I'm not finna do this every
Yeah,
time.
man.
I ain't
Yeah.
got time for this. I got other things to do.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then the other thing you hit me with is that so when we worked at Hilton, right? Probably the one thing that I know I learned and a lot of people, because we was all on the same team,
Yeah.
was forecasting.
Yep.
If you don't
Yes,
know how to do
man.
nothing else coming off the analysis team, you was gonna learn how to
Yep.
forecast. And now I
Yeah.
like it because you took that knowledge that you took from there, how to forecast, and then all the programming, data mining knowledge, and you basically have created your own company with
Yeah.
the Turnout Guru. That's awesome.
I wear a couple of hats. So I'm a Tennessee state election commissioner. So Tennessee has 95 counties, and I'm in charge of 33 of those 95 counties, where I oversee the performance of commissioners. I used to be a local election commissioner, and I did 2 terms there is 2 two-year terms, and now I'm doing 1 four-year term at the state level. So I'm in the Capitol 4 times a year dealing with everything that's happening statewide. And so when you're on those when you're on those political bodies, because I'm a Democrat, I'm a Democrat true blue. I'm more of an independent when it comes nationally because we got another subject we'll cover about election integrity that dovetails into this. That's technology too.
It's
Uh,
layers.
but but they forbid you from talking about issues that are on the ballot. So I'm a Democrat, like Democrats are in trouble, but I can't say anything to anyone. And
Right.
so it's almost like Major's my therapist when he calls me to check in because I know he's not down here and I can just say what I really believe. And so I'm like, man, she's gonna get killed. I'm like, she's gonna get killed. And so I was looking at polls, right? But I was looking at polls that in 2020
Mhm.
were the closest to what happened. And so you have to look at a different set of polls. So you can't, if you're a Democrat, you can't ignore the conservative polls. You just can't do it. And so most
Right.
people they just took the popular polls that gave them what they wanted, and they didn't look at a grouping of an aggregate of those polls. But so I did the aggregate of those polls, and we have a group here. It's brothers, and they're called the Boule, and so it's like the most affluent brothers in Memphis. And so they have this monthly meeting, and a guy invited me to speak to him. And so it was it was gonna be cringeworthy because I knew I was gonna have to paint the picture, but I knew that I had to walk a fine line as a commissioner. And so I just said, I'm just going to give you guys the polls that I look at that look the most accurate to me. And man, it had every swing state going to now President Trump. And so I didn't have to speak about what I believed. I just said the polls are saying what they're saying. And if you look at the demographics and the turnout from, 16 years, again, like you said, Brian, like the knowledge of forecasting from being able to apply that knowledge across a different data set, it's just rows and columns.
Yeah,
So I was
just
using
roll
that
and column.
same logic, and I say affectionately, we learn what not to do in a Fortune 50 company at Hilton. But I took what I did get from that, and I applied it to. I just took corporate grade analytics and aimed it at voting.
Wow. Wow. So so turnout gurus. So what you're doing, so are you working for like different candidates or different people are you using your product? How does that work? Or what do you
So so I am willing to let candidates use it so that I can prove the theories, right? So unlike any other uh, person that does this, I check to see if what I said was correct. And so the room, it gets silent every time I'm dealing with like these big companies, and they raise all of this money because I'm gearing up for a cap raise, right? I want to do it. I want it to be where I raise capital. What I have in concept, I want to put it to scale now, so I can do it. Man, I can comfortably predict 8 out of 10 participants up to 4 years in advance, right? So I already know, like, we have 600,000 registered voters in Shelby County.
Mhm.
In May next year, they're only going to be 55,000 Democrats and 34,000 Republicans that are going to vote in that election.
Mhm.
So it's all hay, right? It's like you try to find a needle in a haystack. Like, you got to find less than 100,000 people out of 600,000 people, right? You got, like, who's going to do that, right? It's going to
Yeah.
be expensive. You got to just, oversaturate, send out a whole bunch of mail. We get all these robocalls, and you got to do everything possible to try to reach out to those individuals. But what if I could create a stack of needles, right? So I got a needle stack.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
got I got a stack of needles, right? So I'm
Yeah.
gonna tell you who those, again, who those individuals are.
Who to
I'm
target?
putting a dot on their head and on their address, and I'm gonna tell you these are the people that you need to talk to if you're serious about running.
Yep.
Oh wow. Wow. So that helps cut down on spending too.
My whole goal with Turnout Gurus is to lower the cost of running for elections. And the reason why that's so important to me, you had this guy, y'all remember back, this guy, Eric Cantor. He was the Speaker of the House, a Republican guy. And
Mhm.
this guy spent $25 million running for a reelection. And he lost to a guy who could only raise $300,000.
Hmm.
This guy spent, they analyzed it, right? He was the third most powerful person in the world. And he's basically a shoe-in. He's an incumbent running for a reelection. And a local, like, he was like a pediatrician. Like, didn't like how the guy was. And he was like, I want to run for local office. Well, if you're like, even if you're a doctor, right? And he probably financed the majority of his campaign with that 300,000, right? It was a primary. If you're going up against a guy with $25 million,
Right.
it's scary to try to run.
Yeah.
But when you look at it on its surface, all you're trying to get to is who's going to walk into the booth. And it
Right.
doesn't cost 25 million to get to those. I peeled back and I studied that election, and what I came back was this guy spent 5 million of that 25 million raising the money. Right? So he had a whole apparatus that has nothing to do, like, always keep the main thing the main thing. He had an entire apparatus just trying to raise money. And so this doctor was just knocking on doors and talking to people in the community.
He doing what he's
And so
supposed
he
to do.
beat the
Wow, yeah.
guy. The
Yeah.
guy did, and here's the kicker though. Here's the kicker. The guy with $25 billion, you could not have paid him to believe that he was going to lose.
Right.
But the guy with the $300,000, you could not pay him to believe he was going to win. Well, what does that mean? Neither of them knew the electorate. Neither of them knew. And so that's when I started focusing on know thy electorate, right? That's almost a commandment for me. If I can get in front of the people who's going to walk into the booth, then I can give you the best shot at 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 engaging them, talking to them to figure what they care about, having them to know your name, to boost your name ID.
Right.
Where when it's time for them to walk in the booth, if you got some guarantees that you got more needles than hay or more sales than leads,
Yeah.
then I mean every call is a sale. If you can sell yourself, I mean 5 things I'll never say I can get you elected. But if you know and you're engaged with those people, and if they show up to vote for you, I don't care how much money a person has. They're just not going to be able to contend with that. So I want to lower the cost of elections.
Right.
Man,
Spend money on people that you know that's going to vote.
yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that changed the whole narrative for me because because my mindset before hearing all this, I always thought that it was a whole fundraising game. Who raised the most money is the one who win. That's probably what most people think.
That's what they doing. They over there, they saying, okay, we're gonna have this fundraiser.
Yeah.
And everybody looking at the money fundraiser, and Benny looking at the numbers going, you're looking at the wrong thing.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
you're doing a
Look,
great job raising money.
I swear I need to get an AI tool. Like this is how it works. Like they play the oversaturation game. Like a bunch of people with a lot of power at the tip of this. And so then they raise as much money possible so that they can oversaturate and the Madison Avenue commercial because they have no idea who's going to walk into the booth. So they need to oversaturate and they need all that money so that they can spread that message out because, hopefully, all those flyers that you put in the car during Elvis week when everybody was here at Kroger,
Right.
you know what I mean? Those ain't voters, right? So but you got to put those papers out because you don't know where you're going to get, you don't know where they are, right? But what if you could do it the other way, right? What if you could figure out starting here, who's going to walk into the booth, right? You start here. Then that spectrum is a lot smaller because now you're spending time. I always say I got more names than you got calories to burn. But if you got a finite set of names, then I want to talk to this guy. I want to talk to Major Phillips 4 times. I want him to feel like he my brother. So when he go into the booth, he said, look, he didn't just show up and kiss the baby. He talked to me. He asked what day he was on my street.
Right.
But you can spend the same amount of money. You would just do it touching me more times. And I think we'd get a better slate of people. Like think about these people have unprecedented power and control and authority when they get in these seats. But when they get there, they don't have to do what the public says because they're not tied to them, right? That's what made Obama such a generational candidate. He was a community organizer. And so he would organize, and that organizing made him formidable. So he was able to move the needle with like young people. And there hasn't been maybe Bernie Sanders, there hasn't been another person. Trump did it this time around, but there hasn't been many people that can come with a message that everybody is gravitating to and they can move the needle outside of the normal people who are just going to vote because it's in their behavior to vote.
Yeah. So it sounds like if you the best bang for the buck, and correct me if I'm wrong, is if you're a local candidate and you don't have a lot of money to spend, then you need to know where to spend it, right? Don't just blanket the whole, your whole campaign area. Know exactly where to spend it. Go to, come to Benny. Come to Benny. Benny gonna tell you exactly where you spend your money at.
Yeah.
That's all he's saying. Hey, I just don't want you to spend it everywhere. Go here. Go to this neighborhood. Go do that.
I'm telling you, and that's why I really don't work. It's the sad thing about being at home, right? It's I got a national name outside of Memphis. I was in Bloomberg Business Week for stuff that I did in Memphis, but when they wrote about it, I mean, you'd be hard pressed to find 20% of the people that know it happened in Memphis. You'd be hard pressed to find. I get more traction when I deal with people out of state because they know the value of it right away. They don't have anything like that and it's new to them. But I'm kind of been here and I'm known as it, but then they don't want to pay for it and they don't think it's really that valuable. Again, because you can just put a bunch of flyers in Kroger for the people here at Elvis Week, and you get that feel good of knowing that you put a bunch of flyers out, but you have because you don't measure if what you did actually worked.
Right.
Right.
And so I do that. My neck is on the guillotine during the early voting period where I'm obsessively checking, hey, did I see that name in advance? Like that 50-something thousand Democrats and 30-some thousand Republicans. I did that forecast, man, Major. I did that forecast 4 or 5 months ago. I'm not going to touch it again.
See,
I'm not going to even touch it again. And so you have candidates, and they like some of them they starting to catch on, right? When it's like a contested. And so the problem as a tech company is I try to get people to see that, I sell gas, right? It's a
Yeah.
race. You got to get in the car and race. And so the moment that I sit down with a candidate, they were like, well, what's exclusivity? Right? They don't want to keep it from your opponent. And I'm like, look, man, the cost is not going to get low if I start selling you, exclusive. People play exclusive prices too. And so if I give you an exclusive
Right.
price, you're gonna look at me like something wrong with you if I give you an exclusive price. Well, why would I give it to you for a fixed amount when I could sell it to 10 people and dwarf the number that you would come up for your exclusivity anyway?
Right.
And so what you run into is candidates, they get more fixated on the candidate next to them. It's a psychology exercise all the way. But so trying to find that's what's taking so long. And that's the reason why I'm actually going the cap raise route, because I'd much rather have it to scale and then put it out there, because it'll really have the bang for the buck, because you got these, like you said, Major, people, they can't afford, they don't have the name ID. They may take them 2 or 3 cycles before they become formidable. But if you gave them something that didn't cost as much, a lot of people who could really do these jobs would actually come out and run for these seats. But if I gotta spend my time phone raising, on the phone fundraising, and begging people for money, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do the job, because I don't want to do the part that's the campaign. And so the campaign is the only way you can get elected. I said this in 2016, and people didn't understand what I was saying, because I predicted that Trump would win both times, especially in
He
2016,
lying.
especially in 2016. And what I said was, a lot of people think this guy is running to be president. He's not. He's running to win. You can't be president before you win. And
Right.
so he would say, and he wouldn't come up like, it was like David Duke. He's like, I don't know, man, I don't know him. I don't. He would not disavow any population of the segment of voters that he potentially would need them to vote for him. And so he just ran on saying, well, I will not alienate any supporter, because you're not going to pigeonhole me into making statements that I now have to disavow everything that comes out, because I won't get a message out. And so
Yep.
he's a charismatic guy. He was once a Democrat. He's heavily ingrained in black culture and pop culture. He's like Mike Tyson's best friend. He was Don King's best friend. He
Right.
supported Jesse Jackson when he ran for president. Jennifer Hudson lost her family, and he put him up in Trump Tower for 6 months free of charge. It was when he wanted to run for power that all of that went out the window. He was a Democrat. He was in Hillary Clinton's wedding. Like, all of that went out the window, because politics is a blood sport. And so
Yeah.
when you got a guy who has a lot of money, decides that he wants to run for office, that just completely dries up the donor pool. So we got to get him out, right? And that's because the cost of running elections is so expensive. And so it creates a byproduct that, at the end of the day, us as voters, we just going to get a bad product every time, because we're just going to get, we got the best politicians money can buy. And so with that as a starter, it's a non-starter. And so it's just always going to be a bad idea for elections to be high. Like, the cost of the TVs went down, everything but a phone, right? Everything in
Yep.
technology starts out really high,
Mhm.
gets big, gets really small, but it gets cheaper over time.
It does.
Except for phones, they got them artificially priced like that. But elections should be doing the same thing. They should be doing the same thing.
Man, he on it. I'm telling you, man,
Yeah.
Benny been doing this for
Yeah.
a long
Yeah.
time.
You got his stuff.
And he
Yeah,
cut it.
I've been doing this a while. I've been doing this, and
What
you
would you
don't
say you
choose
cut your
this; it chooses
technology?
you.
You cut your IT teeth, and I mean, you was doing IT before I met you. And,
Yeah, wait.
yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
so
I've been writing code a while. Like, again, like, I was doing a traffic violations bureau system. Like, these are these big, huge systems.
Yeah.
And so when I got to Hilton, it was like running a small church, right?
hold on. Is that where you met Linda?
Yeah, that's where I met Linda. Right now, I'm doing a stint. I'm doing God's work over there, but I'm doing a stint at the county clerk's office. Is anybody who gets a license plate, they get a marriage license, a business license, the gamut, all of that money, that revenue comes in. I mean, you're talking almost $1 billion in revenue that's coming in. And
Y'all
so
need to know Benny Smith.
Yeah.
Y'all need to know
the
this.
appointed positions, those appointed positions, man, like, it's sheer authority and power. And when you get in those circles with those individuals, like they know what they can do. They don't break the law. You don't have to break the law. But
Right.
if you major tell me, hey, I'm down here, I need to renew my plate. Oh man, just text me the plate number. Right? I have it
Yeah.
ready for you, Gary.
See,
Like
that's all.
that's and that's there's no impropriety there. It's not favoritism. It's not anything like that. You have access.
If you got access, you got access.
Man, you gotta know Benny Smith, man. I thank God I met the man. He done did a lot for me over the years, saved me some money and everything. Man, it's
Well,
good to have friends.
it's good to have friends. It's good to have friends,
Man.
got connections, and know folks in high places. It's in high places.
But the anchor of all of that is technology, right? And
Yeah.
so
Yep.
we were blacks were kind of shut out of because you could think about it. You got reading, writing, the educational system,
Yep.
and then you learning like basic Fortran, like you learning
Mhm.
all these. You know, I can't barely read, so you tell me I'm gonna do some syntax, like that's different. But once the '90s hit, and then you could just go and just hit F1. And if you could read, you could go and learn a lot of stuff.
Yep.
Then I did it like Malcolm X did it. When Malcolm went to jail, he sat up in the corner and with all the light that he could see, he learned the first word in the dictionary, aardvark. He kept going and that's how he boosted his vocabulary.
Yep.
So if you look at technology, the people with the best vocabulary, they can solve problems quicker. And so merit really shows up when you got a guy that need a couple of hours and I just need an hour, you know, you can start to see it. Major saw that at Hilton.
Yeah.
You see that quickly at Hilton. Somebody selling you a solution and they need 10 hours and I need 2. I mean, you gotta get these lessons, man. I'm sorry.
Hey,
I
you
didn't go to
remember?
college.
Can you?
I'm self-taught. You know, programming kind of rose the bar by lowering it. They made it to where if you could actually kick it out and you could put that concept out there, people have to bow down. So my calculator worked just like yours. And so I'm
Yep.
a skewer you with that calculator.
Yep.
Man, this man here got a story about talking about developers saying BS. Oh my God! You remember the story about the server in the meeting?
Oh yes.
It was
Yes.
what? Tell me the story, man.
You talking about the BenQ?
No, the one that was molecule.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Oh, I
So
gotta hear this story.
this when I did my
I gotta hear this story.
this when I did my stint at city government. This was when I was the contractor for you remember that. The contractor for the traffic violations bureau system. So my the CEO of the company, he was like a prime. This one is subprime contractor. It's almost like outsourcing, but just local. So
Yeah.
the government would outsource it to like local MBEs and businesses. And so I worked for this company. It was Associated Softworks, and the guy who ran the company, he was like a political appointee, right? He didn't know technology. Man, he would call me in the office trying to find his scroll bars, right? He really didn't know technology, but he was a businessman and he could run the firm, right? And so I had this guy, and this guy, he would like obsess because he was technical, and I was really trying to get him to see that he didn't have to be technical with the people that own it because they don't really get it like that anyway,
Right.
right? And so he took it too far. He took it literally, right? And so we were in this meeting one day, and I was like, dude, you could say almost anything, and he's gonna be like, all right, I just need a status update, right? And so we went in this meeting, and the guy asked for a status update, and he was like, what's taking so long? Why is the process not working? And so this guy said, man, I'm struggling. I'm gonna have to work some overtime. I need probably extra 10 hours. He was like, well, what's the problem? And he was like, the Microsoft SQL Unix was moleculing. Hey, the Microsoft SQL Unix was
The
moleculing.
Microsoft SQL
And dude
Unix.
said,
They moleculing.
he said, all right, just thanks for the status update. He said, thanks for the status update. Man, he didn't have a clue. He didn't have a clue what it meant.
That
He didn't have a
I
clue in a
believe
minute.
that because I know that works.
Yes.
Dude, when I say I almost chewed all my teeth and swallowed them, trying not to laugh. I'm like, bro, you can't let me know you're gonna do something like that. You can't blind.
Yeah.
You can't blind. I
Right,
know
you
what
gotta
all that
talk about
means,
this
right?
first.
Like, there's no way
Right.
you can string them
Like,
terms
I
together
probably
ever.
would laugh.
I don't know. I would have looked at him crazy.
Yeah, like
I'd be like,
dude.
like what?
Hey, he was like, hey, I promise, man. He was like, thanks for the status update.
Thanks for the
Straight
status
face.
update. And he did a straight face, serious as a
Straight
heart
face,
attack.
man. Straight face. And got 10 extra hours of overtime from
Oh
it.
my God.
Oh,
Got paid. Got some more hours. That's beautiful. I love it. Hey, you know, I tried that.
Oh, you tried it? It didn't
You
work?
sure
Yeah, it didn't work for me,
Major.
bro.
Hold
No.
on. How you mess it up?
Man, cause all right, I'm gonna shout out to my mentor, my ex-boss, JR.
See, you tried with the wrong person.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can't do it. You gotta know the audience. You gotta know the audience.
Yeah. Yeah. JR pulled me to the office. Hey man, can't BS a BSer, bro. What you doing?
Yeah.
Hey, well, come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, I got so much respect from that man after that day. Shout out to
Right.
Mr. JR Wilton.
Right. Yeah, man, that was back in 2002. Yeah, that was like 2002.
Yeah.
But that guy, he ended up being a really good developer after that. Like once he knew not to take it so seriously, yeah, they're gonna bust you, man, because you late. You don't have you gotta have some excellence, right?
You
So
do.
that's another thing that it's gone now. But I mean, I still carry it in me. Like Major, Jeans Friday, I still ain't right. We don't get no Jeans Friday. Like I ain't do it. I
That's a
didn't
whole
do it.
nother topic, man. That's a whole
Black
nother topic.
excellence was so important back then. And so I was trying to tell this guy, like, you can't be late, man.
No,
This guy even though he doesn't know this, he does know how to run a business. And if you told him you're gonna have it in a week, you bet the hell have it in a
you
week.
better have
You
it in
have
a
it in a
And
week.
week.
so he's just busting you about that, but you don't have to take it so seriously. And he did that example to test me to see whether or not it was true. And he became a lot better as a result of my my humor. Like he humored the mess out of me, but he took it a lot.
Yeah.
He took it a lot more in the right perspective once he did, because he knew the difference between who he needed to have all that tech. We
Yeah.
do this all the time as technical people. We try to talk all this technical speak. They don't care.
They don't.
This is gonna
They
be
don't care.
done.
All they want to know is are you gonna have my stuff when you say you're gonna have it? And if
Right.
if the deadline move,
Let
they
me
need to
know.
know before
Let me know.
24 hours in advance.
Fail fast.
That's right.
Fail fast.
Yeah,
That's
you're
what we
right,
say.
man. Fail fast.
Fail fast.
Fail
Let
fast,
them
bro.
know
Yeah, let me know ahead of time.
ahead of time. Well,
So I
well
can-
ahead of time.
Well ahead of time,
Yeah.
so we can make some changes. Yeah.
Yeah, you
That's a
come
lot.
in. You come in a day of, say, "Well, I ain't got it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be another week."
Yeah.
No.
My developers, they do that. When we on the call, it's a
Yeah.
status call or whatever. We're not gonna have it done today. Hey, call me after this call. We need to have a conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not gonna do that to Major, because Major write code. And see, a lot of a lot of people don't. And you only set it down. Like I still like writing code, man. I still like it. I really haven't set it down. I know with Turnout Gurus, I'm gonna have to like release the reins, but I'm still gonna be on their head. Like
Right.
no, man. Like we want all the bells and whistles, and I don't want to hear you can't do it. Like that. Like when we cut our teeth at Hilton, though, Major. Like the detail merge tool, like the stuff that. You remember when I got to stay in the presidential suite?
Man, this dude here done came into the team. He done automated everything. done brought it way up to speed. And then the next thing I know, he done got on the phone helping these folks out in New York, one of the directors of revenue there. And then next thing, then he's like, "Hey man, you think I think I can go to New York and they'll hook me up with a room?" I said, "Man, you Benny Smith, man." He called him up. They said, "Yeah." They said, "Yes, we'll help you out with a room." Right? This is an employee perk to get a comp room. It's easy. It's simple, right?
Yeah.
It's just he's like, "Okay, we're gonna stay at the Waldorf Astoria." Okay, beautiful. We all get to stay at the Waldorf Astoria. I stay at the Waldorf Astoria. No big deal.
Yeah.
Man, this dude called me, showing me pictures, man. Is it JFK? This dude in the
I was sitting in
presidential
John
with
F.
the
Kennedy's
presidents.
rocking chair.
I mean,
wow.
he can't even. It's stuff in that room that you can't. It's like
Everything
expensive.
is from presidents, and it's the president's residency. Not anymore, because they China bought it. But whenever the president is in town, it's his residence, and you have to agree. It's like $20,000 to $50,000 a night, and you have to agree that if he comes to town, that you have to vacate.
Got to go.
Even though you paid.
So I just say Benny Smith.
That's what I'm saying. They just took care. Not to mention, so he done send me pictures. He's like, "Major, I'm in the presidential suite." I'm like, "The real president?" He's like, "Man, I'm in the real presidential suite." So we talk for a minute, chop it up, hang up the phone, and then he talking about, "I'm about to go to dinner." What they took you to?
Bull and Bear. Man, I had a lobster. Man, I swear the claw was like the size of my hand. But I wouldn't even post it. Major was like, "You should post this on Facebook." I was like, "No, dude. I'll send you the pictures, but I ain't
Man, this
posting it."
dude done went to Bull and Bear and had the biggest, the whole lobster. They done took care of this man just because this man done made their life easier.
See,
Love
Yeah.
it.
see, a job in
They
tech
had
can
a
get you there.
complex structure in Hilton. Like there was a Waldorf and there was a Waldorf Towers.
Yeah.
And so they could never really see the business because it was two different hotels. So I had built them a special function just for them to aggregate it all. And it was just the cost of doing business. But
Yep.
I went on and put because I could do it so quick. Like I ain't even it was like, we know how we had to go get approval and all that. I was like, man,
Yep.
I can do this in a day. Like so I used to build my tools so blind so I could really assemble a lot of the complex stuff easier when it was time to report it. And so I just built it and I sent it to them. And I didn't even think nothing else of it. I was like, I get it. Like I'll put it in there. We don't even have to do a whole lot. And I kicked it out to, but it meant the world to them because they could actually, I mean, the
Yep.
Waldorf Astoria, like on King Jaffe Joffer, right? It's the
Yeah.
Waldorf
Yeah. Yeah.
Astoria,
Yeah.
right? It's the Waldorf Astoria.
It's a
And these
moondog.
are the revenue managers. Like they are forecasting making money, but they
Yeah.
can't see the business unless I take my black butt and just make it easier for them,
Yep.
which was in my ability to do. They couldn't do it. And so I built them a special little thing. It was like a special code that they would type in a corner of a thing and it would run it for them. And man, they ran it every day. So it meant a lot to them.
Yep.
Man, this dude
Yep.
had some code. He had so many little Easter eggs in his code. So after he left Hilton, I used to have to call him. I'm like, Penny, what the hell we need to do right here? He said,
Right.
hey, go to sell BS. I'm like, BS? He said, type
Yeah,
BS
it's
in it.
BS.
It do something.
Benny Smith.
And man, it hit enter. And then
Yeah.
this whole
That's
Easter egg
funny.
done fired off. I'm like, man, what? Man, you putting
It's
Easter eggs
funny.
in the code and you done left the company. What did you do?
Yeah, that's what. Look, it's me, you, and Lysandra. I think we all still keep in touch. Like it was 10 of us, but like I love Major. Like he would like imagine being on a team where everybody is just as good as you, like
Yeah.
just as good.
Yeah.
And the only thing that the only they're just small variations. Like it's almost on some Ocean's 11, right? Like
Yeah.
I can't
Yep.
do that, but once I see him do it, this is in my tool belt for
It's in my
forever,
tool. There you
right?
go. That's
Like
it.
the core rate report, man, that core rate would do so much work. I mean, I'm talking about just eliminate. This is long before AI, right? Because our AI really ain't AI anyway. It's just SQL scripts and business rules. But
Thank you.
it really is not the AI that people think it is. But
No,
I
it's
mean, it
not.
was basically, and that was I learned the most, like because but it was because of colleagues. It wasn't because the managers or the work at all. It was because it was a really a group of us that really were just so lazy. Like, like you
Hey,
can
I'm
give the
telling you,
laziest person the hardest task, and they will come up with the easiest and fastest way not to have to do it.
man,
Now we're
that,
gonna kill ourselves for days and
right.
weeks to build
Exactly.
it.
That one
But now I
attribute will
know
make
that's
a great
Einstein's
developer.
theory. Einstein said, make things simple, not simpler. And so you're gonna kill yourself just to make it to where it's simple when you run it. And that's what we
Yep.
did. And it was just it was enough of us to where it was fun. It was even though it was a stressful environment, just because it was just we were black and we were really excellent at what we were doing, but
Yeah.
it wasn't racism. It was
Right.
more like you just got it and you like, I had people coming up there looking for me to tell me my lights was on in my car. It was fun. And so, it was just different when you got, you got the social aspect, but also you also got the business aspect down. And
Yep.
so most people, they just only had the business. And so we just made it look cool. We just made it look cooler. And it was fun. Like we making nerdy cool. Like I'm gonna make it look cool.
That's it. That's it. Make it look cool. Nerd.
Yeah, I'm a
And nerdy
certified
is
nerd.
cool.
Like I'm just not hey, I'm a nerd, but I still can make it look cool.
I'm right there with y'all.
I'm right there, man. Man, nerdy cool, man. I don't care what nobody say. Nerdy cool.
Nerdy is cool. Yeah, that's cool, man. Why I'm gonna be dumb?
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
What I'm gonna make off that? I can't do it.
Exactly. And that's the thing. That's the thing. That's the thing I try to get kids to see the next generation to see, man, look, this is cool to be smart. It's because coming up, being smart was, oh, you nerd. People didn't want. I had a brother. My brother was real smart,
Mm-hmm.
but he hid it because it wasn't cool to be smart.
Come on, man.
Yes.
Come on, man.
Yeah,
So,
it was like
Benny,
that for me too, man. You almost got to dumb yourself down
You gotta know.
just because you get you. It's like it's ethnocentrism, right? You get to where they are. You think you somebody more than what you. Nah, man, just come. You know, I had a friend of mine. She's a medical doctor. Like she delivered babies, like like has delivered so many babies, and I just think that's fascinating. And she'd be like, man, you just like don't know how smart you are. And I was like, bro, you give life every night, like 5 or 6 times. She was like, yeah, but I can't turn that computer on to read the stats without you. And I was like, fair point.
so, so
Fair point. Fair point.
I hope you're enjoying the show. And whatever podcasting platform you're listening on, please feel free to leave a review. And if you're watching us on YouTube, feel free to like and subscribe. Now back to the show.
so Benny, you took what you coming up as just having a job
Yeah.
to feed your family, right? You took
Yeah.
what you learned on the job, both jobs, consecutively, saw a need in the community and started to try to capitalize on that. So that's how you got your one business. And we gonna talk about it later, but Benny got other businesses
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
too,
Yeah.
that we probably need to chop
Yeah.
it up
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what you think? What's the next steps for
Turnout Gurus.
yeah?
So I'm in conversations with the largest database provider in the US. There are two, and one they kind of speak in what I want to hear because I need data that's already in the same format. So if I go and get voter registration files, you're into the politics. You got like in Mississippi, they won't even tell you what the race of people are. Politically, that's an advantage not to disclose how many people are still there, your sharecroppers. It's just about power and authority and control. But there are these aggregate providers and marketing companies who do census data. They know what it is, but it's kind of hard to make a graph to show you racial demographics if everybody's other. And so that's just hard. And then, some states like you can go and get Florida, 24 million voters, right? They'll send it to your doorstep every month for $5. But if you go to like Alabama, they want 30 grand for like 4 million people, right? And so it's disparate and varying. And so there are these database providers that have already aggregated all of that. And so then it's just everything is already, I would have to write so many conversion files. Everything is already in the right format. And so there's a company called Catalyst. And man, they get everything from like what color lipstick you buy. They got all of this consumer data, right? And so I really wanted to have a discussion with them where I don't know if that, where they look at my models and say, well, we want to absorb you as a business unit, or I could get a partner teaming agreement with them where I get data from them, but I offer them some upsell or I pay them a royalty. I don't know what that part is going to look like, but I'm having those discussions. And so the initial discussion is, oh, well, we got our own forecast. I'm like, yeah, but if you took care of business, I'd be out of business. And so some of the analysts are like, where I'm doing my presentation. I'm like, here is, I said there were going to be, 182,000 people. Out of the 104,000 that voted, I only missed 20,000 people. Those 20,000 people, if you had to use the same metric to find those people, the pool is 400,000 people. And so you got to go through 400,000 people just to find that 20,000. And that's the reason why I don't count them. Right. And then the analysts are quiet because it's their turn. Now, how did you check your work, right? And then they just quiet. So a lot of times I end up with the posture matches. But this company, they probably got more money than God. So they're not threatened by that. And so even though they have their own algorithms, they still like the dashboard that I built because it's so lightweight. And they like how you cutting through all of this and you have everything in the same space. And that's what I learned the most, guys, is a developer is going to develop based on his knowledge of
Yep.
development.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
So take me who has extensive temper. I got an extensive palate for politics. I understand politics and turnout well, like as a consultant, but I also write code.
Yep.
You can't
That's
keep up with me.
That's
You're not
that's a
gonna keep up
powerful
with me. You
combination.
can't.
that's the
There is no
unicorn.
specification that you're gonna write that's gonna be better than mine because I'm writing corporate grade analytics where I'm the informant. I'm the subject matter expert,
Yeah.
Yep.
and I'm writing the code. Like
Yep.
just get in. Just you can't. You're not gonna keep up. Like you're not gonna
Can't
catch up to
compete.
me.
No, you can't compete with that.
Right. Especially if you for coming from the public sector, right? And you just politics, right? And then how you gonna get your technical knowledge up?
Yep.
And then it just happened. Like I said, man, those ingredients just came together. You just happen to work with at the government, downtown Memphis
Yep.
at the government office. Then you come into this huge
Yep.
analytical company who is very data driven, right? And
Yep.
then you get on
Yep.
an analytics team, and
Yeah.
then they teach you this basic, forecasting, and then you
Yeah.
talk to other people how forecasting really
Yep.
supposed to work, and then you take all that knowledge, and now you got all your background knowledge. Oh my
Yep.
God.
Yep.
Magic bullet.
Yep.
Magic bullet, boom.
I'm telling you, it's a gold mine, man. Like if somebody offered me 50 million, I'd probably walk away from it. But it's worth way more than that when you consider that. Think about the last election, $1 billion, right?
Yeah.
That's just think about it. That's $2 billion, but there was only two candidates.
Yeah.
Here's the kicker that most people don't get. It's 6,000 jurisdictions, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you a tip from a guy named O'Neill. All politics are local, right?
Yep.
Mhm.
Tip O'Neill said all politics is local. So
Yep.
think about like I was the secretary for the election commission in 2022. And so I had to sign the certificates of all of the winning candidates. Man, I signed 95 certificates. So that's 95 candidates. Right? That's not
Yeah.
that's the winners.
That's the winners.
So
That's the
they had
winners. Not
they had
everybody that ran.
opponents,
That's
right?
just the
They had
winners.
opponents, right? And that's
Right.
one county, and there are 95 counties, and then that's just one. That's one election year, and so
Yeah.
there's a myriad. You got school boards, city council, county commission, local land ordinances, governor, senator, legislator. Like there are like hundreds of positions. And so if you could get a mass product, it's like the iPhone. I'm trying to put the same thing in everybody's hand. It's like
Yep.
Windows, right? I'm trying to put the
Mm.
same thing in everybody's hands. And so the guy at he's a CEO for Catalyst. He was like, dude, that's lightweight. How did you get all of that in one place? I was like, I worked in corporate America, man. Like I worked in corporate America. You have to do it this way in
Right.
corporate
Yeah.
America.
Right. Oh
Yeah.
wow. That's awesome. So man, so Benny, if anybody want to find out more about what you're doing, find out more about you, or they want to reach out, what are some ways they can find out things about you and ways they can contact you if they need to contact you?
Yep. So I got my namesake. So it's www.bennie. Don't why me. I've been saying why me to God my whole life. So there's no Y in my name. It's BENNIE SMITH.com. At the bottom, I got some contact information in there. Now that's a rabbit hole because it covers some other facets of my life. So there's election integrity and music on there too. But there's a link to under election, there's a link to Turnout Gurus. But I also got the domain for that. So it's TURNOUT GURUS. So turnoutgurus.com. So you'll see like the dashboard. It's like a little like a video explainer of why all this stuff matters. And the more candidates really see that this is the only game in town, the more will sign up. And so I just want a whole lot of people giving me a little money. And so I think that's just really profitable if think about it. You got 10 candidates. I don't care if you're running for against a teammate. It's gas. You got to fill up your car and you just got to drive
Yep.
better, right? The public needs people who are going to engage them. And so as many people as possible I would love to have 6 people come ask me for my vote. I would.
Yeah.
And so I always get, a little sideways for lack of a better expression, with candidates because they, they always just try to lock me down. I was like, the price is just gonna get higher and higher, man. Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that.
So cool, man. Y'all got to go check out my boy
Yep, check them
Benny
out.
Smith. Google him. You can literally Google this guy. He out there. Mr.
Yeah, it's a
Man, we're
rabbit
gonna
hole
see
of
you in the
information
White
in there.
House soon. Somebody gonna scoop you up. Man. He's the guy.
He the guy. We gonna see him. Y'all gonna see him again. Y'all gonna see him.
For sure.
And there you go. So, Benny, we appreciate you coming out on the show today, and we appreciate all the knowledge that you that you share with us. I know I learned a lot of stuff today in this segment.
Man, Benny ceases to amaze me, man. He is always on the cutting edge, especially
Yeah.
with this election and stuff.
Yeah.
And we haven't even got to the music stuff
No,
that he
yeah.
does. That's like,
Oh
whoa.
yeah, music
Yeah,
royalties.
so yeah,
That's on whoa.
We're gonna do that.
Yeah.
He gonna come back.
We're gonna get you back, man,
Yeah.
so we can
Yeah, that's
chop
a
it up
whole nother
about the music
world.
stuff.
Again, where it should be in black tech, man. It should be in black. There's a black box of revenue that goes uncollected, and it pays out somewhere in the neighborhood of $600 million. And most of that is hip hop, R&B.
Right. Man.
So it's black music. They don't even know that
Money
they
out
should
there
get
that's
paid.
just waiting somebody to grab.
Right.
Just sitting
I call it the
Just
trash can.
It's in
It's in the trash. It's in
Yeah,
the trash.
dumpster diver.
He's So look, y'all keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes and ears open. That's coming.
Yes, sir. Cool.
We'll do it.
All right. Thanks, Benny.
Appreciate you, brother. We'll get back with you.
All right. Thanks for having me.